In today's Soul for the Day, we are in John's Gospel, chapter 6, verses 27 to 35, and we see Jesus making the first of 7 I am statements that we read about in John's Gospel. In this first statement, Jesus says, I am the bread of life. And when I was reading this passage and preparing what I could share, I was thinking about how bread is a staple in our daily lives, and actually would have been even more essential back then, and that Jesus is essential to life as well. But if we read a little bit closer in this passage, we quickly find that Jesus isn't talking about our physical nourishment, but rather spiritual. Before this, in John's Gospel, we read that Jesus fed the 5,000 and showed the miraculous sign of walking on water. And Jesus here gets annoyed with the crowd because he says, you're missing the point. You're only following me for free food, and you're missing all of these miraculous signs. And in verse 27, he says, do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. They're missing the point. They're missing the fact that the Messiah is among them. And then they ask him for another sign, as if walking on water and feeding the 5,000 wasn't enough. And they tell him, well, God gave us manna. What about you? Well, he says, well, I am the bread of life, which must have been quite confusing to them. But Jesus says that I am the bread of life, and this is that Jesus nourishes us beyond our physical needs. He gives us eternal spiritual nourishment. He gives life to the world. And the crowd ask him, well, how can we get our hands onto this bread? And he says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. He is inviting us in with these two words, come and believe. He says, come to me and believe, he says.